Well, thank you. Thank you to American Heritage Credit Union. Thank you, Crystal. And welcome everyone to today's presentation. Again, thank you to American Heritage Credit Union for their partnership. And we hope to continue this for many, many years. Keeping debt under control. That is a topic that is in everybody's mind. So it is very important to really keep that debt under control. So in that way, we're able to reach our goals and we are able to continue to have financial stability. Well, a little bit about Money Management International. We are a national full service nonprofit financial education and counseling organization. Our mission is to improve life through financial education. Money Management International provides a variety of services. One of those is budget and credit counseling, which is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it is free of charge and confidential. All our counselors are certified by the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. We also provide debt management programs. We provide bankruptcy counseling and education, student loan counseling, post disaster recovery counseling, credit report reviews, and we are one of the largest HUD approved agencies in the country. HUD stands for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. So all our counselors in the housing area are certified by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We also provide a free online learning program. At the end of the presentation, you will be able to see the slide where it has the link. It is called learn.mmiuniversity.org. But I also want to let everybody knows that Crystal will bring an information that they have. The American Heritage Credit Union also have free online resources and education programs. So lots of resources here for all of you to really take advantage of. Also, one more thing. All the information that will be going through this class, through this topic, keeping debt under control, all the handouts, you will be receiving those at the end of the presentation. So we'll go over that at the end. And also we have a dedicated phone line for all members and non-members of the credit union, and specifically for you, free of charge, confidential. Again, at the end of the presentation, you will be able to see all those resources. Okay, so what are today's workshop objective? Well, while keeping in mind that credit is an important financial tool that can help us achieve our goals, carrying too much debt can really burden our finances. And so I am going to show you some strategies that there is going to help you take control of your debt and manage it over the long term. Specifically, I am going to show you how to determine your current debt load. Also, I'm going to show you how to calculate your debt to income ratio so you're able to identify whether your level of debt is reasonable. And this is based on your personal income, on your household income. Also, I'm going to show you how you are able to assess your credit management skills and explore some options for dealing with overwhelming debt. At the end, you're going to be able to set individual priorities. I'm going to give you some information how to set individual priorities so you're able to create an action plan so you're able to manage your debt. Okay, so great information, less information, and remember, All this information is going to be on your handout. This is just a little data in here that we have included, and this is about financial wellness and debt. Um, 75% of American teens lack confidence in their knowledge of personal finance. And this is the source of all of this information is key financial literacy. Okay, so this is statistics are from 2023. You can find more information under annuity.org. 25% of Americans said that they don't have anyone they can ask for trusted financial guidance. 23% of US adults between the ages of 18 and 29 have credit card debt. And that debt is over 90 days overdue. And this is quite a big number. Americans owed over 1.03 trillion in credit card debt. And this was just on the second quarter, again, 2023. Now we are on 2025 now. So it might have gone up, but this is the data from 2023. So it is amazing. So I really welcome and I really thank you for being here today so you're able to keep that debt under control. Balancing, between wants and needs. And here takes me to just tell everyone here that we all like to have nice expensive things. I like it. I like to travel. I like to have nice things. Unfortunately, many people sometimes use credit cards or personal loans to supplement that standard of living. So it is very important that we look very careful at our budget, so when we borrow money, we're able to cover those expenses at the end of the month. And then this takes me to really add a little bit about setting goals and priorities. Yes, we do like to travel, we do like to have nice things, but we can incorporate those into our budget. We can incorporate those expenses into those goals. Now, if we carry too much balances on credit card, or if we are borrowing money and we're not able to pay those balances in full, it's going to lead to some problems. Okay, it could really give us bad credit. It can, if we're not able to pay it on time, or if we are utilizing too much of our line of credit, that can really give us a negative score, a negative report. Maybe we are applying for a loan, maybe a car, and we get denied because we got too much already. So yes, it can really lead into some negative situation. So it is very important to really understand how to use credit wisely. Living above our means and using credit to supplement our income can lead to overwhelming debt and other financial consequences. Okay. So it is important to create that right balance. It is very important to understand between wants and needs. Okay. And this can be difficult. It can be difficult. Because when credit rather than savings becomes a safety net, consumers and their families become financially vulnerable. Okay. It is easy. It is very easy in today's economy to be lured by items that make promises of enhancing our lifestyle. And we see it all the time. We see it on social media. We have it on our phone, TV, billboard, commercials, radio. So there is always an advertising, always marketing going out there. And with credit available so easily, I mean, so easily in today's economy, many people fall into the trap of buying beyond their means. Okay. Oftentimes, striking a healthy balance by creating a realistic, priority based spending plan and living within our means comes down to a healthy outlook on money and spending. Again, creating that right balance, needs versus wants. So I just want to let you all know to take the time to consider your goals and review your monthly spending plan. If your plan does not include regular savings and you're spending more than you make, it may help it may help you to list necessities versus non-necessity items that you frequently spend money on. Then determine wants. Okay, what are the ones that you can cut back? And so in that way, you're able to balance your budget. And again, achieve your financial goals. All right. So creating that right balance, knowing your debt. Now, every often debt can prevent us from achieving our goals. So if this is the case for you, you will need to reduce the debt. That's the bottom line. Okay. So how can you do that? By starting to determine your current debt load and debt to income ratio. And that way, we're able to get a more accurate picture of what we owe. Okay. So here are some terminology that and some key terms that we need to be familiar with so we are able to determine our debt to income ratio to be able to determine our debt load. Okay, so let's start by talking about these key terms. Creditor, because I'm going to be mentioning all these key terms throughout the class. A creditor is someone that you have borrowed money from. This may be a bank or a credit card company, okay, or a finance company. That is a creditor. It's someone you have borrowed money from. APR. APR stands for the annual percentage rate, okay? And this is the charge a borrower pays a lender or pays a creditor, okay, for borrowing that money. And this is expressed in terms of yearly interest. Current balance. Current balance is the amount that you currently owe, okay? And due date. The due date is the day by which the payment must be received to avoid late fees and other penalties. And then the last one is minimum payment. And the minimum payment is the amount that you must make to avoid being subject to late fees or other penalties. And usually this is the amount that comes in your statements. Okay, so this is very important to really get familiar with these key terms. All right, so let's go and take a look at how we're going to be able to determine our debt load. Okay, this worksheet is also in your handout. You will be receiving this worksheet in your handout. So in here, the first step that you have to do is you're going to list all your outstanding debt, okay? Like credit cards, all the balances that you have up to today. Credit cards, if you have a car loan, student loans, personal loans, any personal loans, anything that you owe, okay? And you're going to list this in order from the highest APR, from the highest annual percentage rate, which means the interest rate, to the lowest APR. It is also very important to even include debt that you have stopped paying. Like, for example, if you have some accounts on collection, if they are on collection, then you're going to list those in there. So if you still owe it, you are going to list it under creditor. Now, do not include rent or mortgage payments. Yes, you might say, well, but a mortgage is a loan. But in this case, you're not. You're not going to include that one. Mortgage payment in this list, okay? For each creditor, for each account, you're going to list the creditor's name, okay? The creditor's name, as you can see it, the account number, if you have it, the annual percentage rate, which means how much interest you're paying, how much interest they're charging you. What is the current balance? What is the current balance as of today? And look in your statements, what is the minimum payment amount that this creditor is asking you to pay every month to keep that account in good standing. And then the last column is going to be the payment due date. The payment due date. Okay, the payment due date. So again, all of this is going to be in the worksheet exactly like this that you are going to be receiving. The next step is you're going to add up all the current balances to determine your debt, your total debt that you owe. So in this case, for this example, this person has a total of $15,000 in debt. Okay, so this is the debt load. All right, so this is the debt load. The next step will be adding all the minimum payment amounts, okay, to get your minimum payment total. This is the number that we're going to use to calculate your debt to income ratio. So for this example, the total current balance is $15,000 and the minimum payment every month is $300. Now, let's take a look at how we are going to use those into the calculation. Now, I keep talking about debt to income ratio, but what exactly is that? That is the relationship between your monthly debt and your income. And this is expressed as a percentage. Okay? So I would like to ask everyone up there, what do you think is an acceptable debt to income ratio? Okay? So let's take a look at the formula to calculate debt to income ratio, and then I'm going to explain the different outcomes, okay, and what they mean. All right. Okay. So the calculation, the ratio formula is in here. You're going to take the total minimum payments. All right. We're gonna take the total minimum payment, and for this example, is $300. For our current example, is $300. So this is the monthly minimum payments. And we're going to divide that amount, the total monthly minimum payment, we're going to divide that by the total take-home income for 1 month. In other words, your monthly take-home income, okay? So for these purposes, this household has a $3,000 monthly income, monthly net income, okay? Then that result, you're going to multiply that by 100 to get your debt to income ratio. So in this example, the debt to income ratio is 10%. So 300 divided in 3,000, the monthly take home for 1 month, and then divide that multiply that by 100, and that is the result for this example is 10%. 10% is the debt to income ratio for this example. Okay, so again, this form is also in your handout, so you're able to see, you're able to calculate your own debt to income ratio. All right, so let's talk about what the outcome, okay, what happened. If your debt to income ratio is under 15%, you can relax. Okay, so for this example, they can relax. They're able to manage their debt. So this ratio is well within an acceptable range. But if the ratio is between, the result is between 15 and 20%, we need to be cautious. We need to be cautious. It may be time to take steps to reduce the debt load for that household. Okay. Now, a debt to income ratio over 20% indicates that you are heavily indebted and should not take on additional debt. Credit is an important financial tool, and we need to use it wisely. Because if we use it wisely, it can be of a great asset. But if we are not using it the right way, credit can cause financial hardship and lots of stress. Debt can accumulate for several reasons. And regardless of how much you owe, you can get it under control. Yes, you can get it under control. Now, there is an exercise that you will be receiving in your handout, and this is just to assess your managing skills. You know, how do you manage your credit, your skills in managing credit. So this is allows you to have a big picture, to understand yourself and how are you using credit? How do you understand the use of credit? Are you using it the right way? Are you mismanaging? So this exercise is in your handout. So once you are done, once you're finished and you do your exercise, so again, you're able to compare those results with these answers. So it will allow you to know if your use of credit is under control. Are you using it the right way, or you need help, or you need to do something. Okay, so if you answer no, and again, all this information is in your handout. If you answer no to all the questions, you're likely know how to manage credit. If you answer yes to any of the question 1 through 10, you may want to cut back on the use of credit. If you answer yes to any of the questions between 11 and 15, you need to seek help because you may be, going through some situation there with overwhelming debt. Regardless of your current situation, you can take control and turn the situation around. Okay, so now let's take a closer look at some options and how you're able to manage the debt. Okay, so the first one is now there are several options I'm going to show you here. Several options for dealing with overwhelming debt, but not all of these options are suitable for everyone. So it is important to explore every option and pick the one that is best for you and your situation. Okay, so let's start by gaining control of your own. Now, once I give you the solutions, the options, I'm going to show you the cons and pros of this solution. All right, so the manage debt and improving financial control on your own. So if you choose a different method for managing and reducing debt, the main thing here is avoiding new debt and developing a realistic monthly spending plan and contacting your creditors so you can ask them about different options available to help you. Okay, so it is important, and here you're taking control on your own. You're doing it all by yourself. So what are some of the positive about this is that allows you to be in control. You know your finances better than anyone. And if you're determined to make a change, you're likely to succeed. Okay. Again, it's all one person decision. What are the negative about this solution? You might feel overwhelmed. You may not be able to see how serious the situation is. Creditors may be less likely to negotiate with you, and this is based because probably your credit report um, may be kind of a little bit negative. And you also need tracking. You need to really create a specific priority spending plan, and also you need to track all your expenses. The next one is what we call credit counseling and debt management programs. This may be a good option if you need help in reducing debt and building a budget. During a session, you will work with a certified counselor one-on-one, and they are going to help you build a workable budget and talk about different options for addressing your financial concerns. On a debt management program, an organization certified by the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, we're one of those, are going to work with creditors to make payments more manageable for you. Okay. Typically, a consumer on a debt management program, the organization will work with creditors to negotiate repayment terms. You are going to make one monthly payment to the organization, and they will disperse payments to creditors every month. Once a month, that payment get dispersed. On a typical debt management program, a consumer will pay out all the debt between 3 and 5 years, but no more than 5 years. What are the positive about these programs? Creditors may eliminate fees and reduce interest rates. Some debt management programs provide options to reduce payments. You're only making one payment. You will have less negative impact on your credit report. And a lot of these agencies certified by the National Foundation for Credit Counseling provide financial resources, calculators, financial education, resources to help you stay out of debt. What are some of the negative about this solution? Some creditors may not participate. While the consumer is on a debt management program, it may not take on additional debt, even if it's deemed necessary. Okay. And some accounts will be closed. Some accounts will be closed. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at another solution, and this is debt consolidation. And this is when several loans are combined into one loan. Okay. What are the positive about this? That you can pay your debt faster. You're only making one payment. Some of the negative, debt may take longer to pay off, and you consumers could end up charging again and incurring even more and more debt. All right, so let's take a look at the next one, and this is what we call a debt reduction plan, DRP, a debt negotiation or settlement and settlement. This is when the creditor and the debtor, okay, creditors and the consumers, the debtors are the person who owe the debt, agree on a reduced balance that will be accepted as payment in full. All right. Some of the pros on this program is that you could be debt free faster. So you can start rebuilding your credit sooner. You're satisfying the debt for less than what you owe. So you're saving money. Some of the negative, maybe, well, another pro on this one, another positive thing is that a lot of the unsecured debt can go into these programs. Okay, most of the unsecured debt could be considered under these settlements or debt reduction plan. Negative, you may be charged an upfront fee. All right, you have to have a lump sum of money, and a lot of times the lump sum or the money has to be paid right away at one time. Settlements will negatively affect credit report and could show on your credit report history for some times. Okay. Bankruptcy. Okay, so there's two types of bankruptcy that deals with consumers. And this is an option when debts are more than what the assets and income can support, and there is no other viable option to pay it off. Okay. Under Chapter 7 bankruptcy, assets are liquidated. To be eligible, the consumer must qualify under what is called the means test, and the consumer must complete a required pre-filing bankruptcy counseling, and we offer those sessions with a certified counselor and agency. Under Chapter 13, bankruptcy, debts are adjusted for an individual with regular income. There are eligibility requirements for both, okay, for secure and unsecured loans. And certain debts cannot be below certain amounts, okay? Now, it is very important to know that eligibility requirements to file for bankruptcy varies from state to state. So it is important to really consult an attorney, research your state requirements and guidelines. What are some of the pros? What are some of the positive for this solution? Is that property could be protected from unsecured creditors, and this is under Chapter 13. Most unsecured debt could be discharged. Declaring bankruptcy early could allow a consumer to start rebuilding their financial situation a lot quicker. Some of the negative about filing for bankruptcy, credit report will be negatively affected. Okay. And sometimes the underlying problems of, or the negative spending habit may not be addressed. So, kind of very important to really look at all the options. Credit repair clinics. So a lot of these businesses often claim that they can repair or fix bad credit by removing incorrect or negative information from your credit report history. Um, while there might be some organizations with good reputation out there that offers credit repair, a lot of time it's an scam. Okay, a lot of time it's an scam. Credit repair clinics with good reputation or services or some of these businesses, they may have more experience than the average consumer in dealing with creditors, which may, they are able to use these skills um, to help the consumer negotiate and manage the debt. But again, they are going to charge you for something that we are able to do for free. And I will explain that in a few minutes. Um, a lot of times, yeah, these services might charge a substantial fees, and they're putting someone else in control of your debt. Okay, or they're putting someone else in control of your financial situation. Anytime a company promises you to fix or repair your credit, you should always proceed with caution. It could be a scam. And why did I say? Because it is better for you to dispute misinformation and managing negative items yourself at no cost or no cost. Okay. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, all consumers have the right to dispute information that is not accurate or information that is more than what the time of being reported. Okay, if the item is too old and is still being reported, we are able to dispute it for free. For free. That is the law. For more information on this, you're able to go to the Fair Credit Reporting Act or go to the Federal Trade Commission. Okay. Now let's take a look at some other businesses that you need to be careful in just a second. Beware of easy credit. So here is just an example how debt management plans can help. So you are able to take a picture of this. So these are debt management plans versus doing it yourself, debt payment. So it is just an information. You can take a picture of the QR and the screen, and this is based on the program and services that we provide under Money Management International. All right, and this is just be careful and go to agencies, companies that provide a good service. Beware of easy credit. Predatory lenders impose unfair and often abusive loan terms on borrowers. They advertise various loan options. Some of those may include payday loan, check cashing services, title loans, tax refunds and anticipation loans, rent to own contracts, pawn shop loans, subprime mortgage loans. So just be careful. Keep in mind, please keep in mind that not all companies in this category are predatory lenders, but almost all predatory lenders fall into one of these categories. Okay, so be careful. What they have in common is that they charge excessive fees and extremely high interest rates. So be careful. Be careful with those businesses. Okay, so let's take a look at student loans. And that is one that we've been hearing on the news lately a lot. Um, and now in today's economy, with today's consumers, student loans are really impacting um, the future of many. Uh, it is important for you to visit studentaid.gov. Visit studentaid.gov if you have a student loan to view details about your loans, and then you're able to get some repayment tips in there. It is important to understand what you owe, review repayment options, contact your loan servicer. If you happen to have any changes, address, anything, it's very important that we keep an open communication with our loan servicer. So as with any other debt, it is important to do not ignore student loans. I mean, you have to keep up with those loans. So yes, if it's a federal loan, and we are not, if we are in a negative situation, we may get our wages garnished or income tax refunds taken away from us. So very important. Okay, remember, studentaid.gov, studentaid.gov. All right, so how are we going to start over? First of all, knowing the importance of managing debt. That's one of the very first steps. You are making the first step. You are telling yourself that you want to manage your debt. So then you need to review your credit report to see what they said about you. And this is an important step, reviewing your credit report, because it's also going to tell you all the accounts that you have open, all the balances that you have currently. And then it's going to tell you, it's going to give you information about what actions to take, what are the solutions. So remember, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, we are allowed, and under the Fair and Accurate Credit Transaction Act, we are allowed to request a free copy of our credit report by visiting annualcreditreport.com. One of those forms with that information is also attached in your handouts in today's presentation. Okay. If you see items that they are negatively impacting you, it is important to take action and address them. So again, you're able to look at your credit report, and remember, if you see information that is inaccurate, if you see information that is way too old, that's older than 7 years, you are under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you're able to dispute information and have it removed. That is the law, for free. Okay? If you need to rebuild your credit and restart building your credit again, one of the best things, suggestions that we can give is establishing a good relationship with a bank or credit union, just like American Heritage Credit Union. And they have a product that is called Secure Credit Card. That is the best way to start establishing credit. All right, getting out of debt. So you are attending this class, you are going to get out of debt. So you have decided, you have promised yourself that you're going to get out of debt. Okay. And you can get out of it. It may not happen overnight. It will take some work, but you can do it. You can do it. The first step is to start by making the commitment that you really want to get out of debt. The first thing that you're going to do is list all your debts using the most recent accounting statements. You can use your credit report or your latest statements. Then use the debt load worksheet that I mentioned. It's included on this class, on this session. Then choose an action plan that is going to help you reduce that debt. And once you get started, regularly evaluate your progress and make adjustments as needed. Okay? All right. So all this information is also in your handouts. So it is important to continue communication with your creditors, and we're also available. Credit counseling and budget counseling is available for free in our agency. All right. So let me give you some information on how you are able also to reduce your debt, okay, yourself. So the first one that I want to explain is what we call the low balance. How to reduce our debt, low balance, okay? The low balance method is going to give you the satisfaction of paying off accounts quickly and reducing the number of outstanding bills that you have each month. You will also build a momentum as each debt is paid in full by adding the payment amount to the next debt on your list. So the very first thing that you have to do is list all the debts in order from the lowest to the highest balance. And here you're going to include the balance, the minimum payment due amount, the interest rate, and the due date for each one. Okay? Remember, you already have this information on your debt worksheet and your debt load worksheet. You already have it. But in here, you are going to put it in order from the lowest balance to the highest balance. Okay? The next thing that we suggested you do is you are going to look at your budget and see if you can identify any additional dollars that you can add to this plan every month. So you're able to get out of debt a lot faster. So for this example, what we did is this person was able to find $88 extra each month. Look at their budget. It's not drinking coffee. It's not buying any extra things. It's not going out to eat out to lunch. I mean, it just found $88. So, so the first payment, the minimum payment was is now $100. So because it added $88, so pay the first account as quickly as possible using that extra amount, and continue to pay the minimum payments on all the other debts. Once the first debt is paid off, then you're going to add the total monthly payment amount to the second debt. In this case, it was $23. That was the minimum payment, but because we already paid the first one, we're going to add it. So we're going to continue to pay $123 until that is paid off. Continue to pay the minimum payment on the last amount. So continue to do this until all debts are paid off. Okay? Your total monthly debt payment will not change, and you're gaining momentum as each debt is paid in full. One thing very important, you cannot add any other charges to those accounts that you already have. Do not add any charges. Do not add to those balances. The next one is what we call debt reduction, high interest. Same thing. You're going to list all the creditors, interest rate, account balance, minimum payment due. You're going to do all of that. You're going to transfer that information into this worksheet. So in here, you're going to list the accounts on interest rates from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. The account with the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. So you are choosing to pay first the account with the highest interest rate. This plan is best suited for people who will get satisfaction from seeing a reduction in the total balance owed. This method typically costs less over time because you're targeting the account with the highest interest rate first. Okay? So again, list all the debts from the highest interest to the lowest interest. You are going to find extra money. In this example, we found $88. Okay, $88. To the it was $32. It was the minimum. No, yeah, the minimum payment was $32 for the appliances credit card. So we added $88, and now we're paying $120 every month. And until that's paid off, we continue to pay the minimum payment on the next. Once that is paid off, we're going to add that amount to the next one, which is the credit card from a department store with 21% interest. So that will be $123. We pay that off while we continue to pay the minimum payment on the next one, and so forth. Remember, this method will cost you a lot less because remember, we're tackling the account with the highest interest rate first. Okay? All right. So all this information is in your handout. All this information in your handout. So now what you need to do is choose the best option for you and your situation. If you want to do it yourself, commit yourself to do it. Make less. You have all the tools. You have all the tools. Okay? All right, so I have covered lots of great information, very important information. You are going to be able to determine your debt load. You're going to be able to know how to calculate your debt to income ratio. You are going to take that quiz and assess your managing skills, and how do you manage credit. And I have given you a lot of options. I have given you the pros and cons. And now it is just making that commitment, setting priorities, and creating an action plan. All right. Okay. So today's presentation is designed for educational purposes only and should not be construed as an investment, tax, or legal advice. So here is the information I mentioned in the very beginning. There is our website, our phone number. We also have an online financial program free. And there is the American Heritage Credit Union phone line, free of charge for members and non-members. So it is time for you just to set up an appointment, confidential, and just see, let someone else help you evaluate your financial situation.